Yo, what's going on? Welcome to my home studio. I'm Long Story Short, and today I'm gonna dive into Native Instruments Kontakt. One thing I love the most in electronic music is contrast. Heavy hitting drops, beautifully surrounded by like organic touches. And I found a bunch of really sick libraries, so let's dive right in. All right, so right here we got vocals from another track I'm working on. I brought in the chords for the track here, and we're gonna kind of build like an organic soundscape. Let's start with like something super simple, like a piano. Let's go to Noir piano. One thing about this Noir piano that's pretty fire is that it has like a particles mode, which kind of plays granular bits. So here's the stock piano. Beautiful sound. And if we go into this plugin, we go into particles, there's some really sick presets in here. So I like this one, Shaking Shadows. It's very filtered down, very organic, and it has like a bit of brush in the background. So if we blast that with some compression, and let's get a little bit of EQ on there. Roll off the very lows so we have some room for a bass line later. You get something like that, which is super sick. And it already kind of sets a huge vibe. So typically, I like to have like a drone note or a few drone notes stacked. There's a couple ways I like to do my breakdowns. One of them is taking the chords and just playing like a really cool granular or something like that. We're gonna do that. Let's grab something really cool that's like textural. And if you don't really wanna drop mad money on libraries, there's so many good free ones out there. Kontakt is kind of like the standard of like sample players. And it's just amazing because there's so many soft synths on the market. But what I like about Kontakt is that all the sounds in here are mostly organic. There are synths that are in Kontakt, but I generally lean towards the stuff that I can't make with like a soft synth. It delivers itself to bring in like texture into a record, which makes it feel more real. And we're gonna grab in one of these. Let's just grab one of these pads. Awesome, right out the gate. Cool, same kind of deal with this. Let's just roll it out. Roll out the very low so we can make room for a bass line later. And let's slam it with some compression. It just brings out the little bit of noise and stuff like that. It's kind of like a typical dance music move, but I'm not ashamed to do it. Beautiful, that's it right there, sick. We could drop this down to one note too, or even just a stack. Let's try one note. Cool. And let's move on, let's keep stacking sounds. Some of these libraries, there's a few different kind of moves in Kontakt that I think are not obvious if you're like a dance producer and you're used to kind of flipping through presets. Go into Ashlight, go down here and just grab a preset. I really like the first one, to be honest with you. One thing that's not obvious about Kontakt is a lot of this stuff requires a little bit of expression. And sometimes they're patched to the mod wheel. And when I press that little mod wheel, you get that little bit of opening up. I'm gonna punch in, play that, and I'm just gonna kind of record me moving that mod wheel. But that little bit sells me so much more. Let's go into one of the ones that requires expression. I'll kind of demonstrate how I do that. So let's build a pad from like the root chord, take off the 7th. So that's cool. And then with this expression map, if you want it to come in slowly, let me kind of demonstrate this on solo real quick. It just gives it a little bit more of that real feel, and you can automate that to an LFO right in Ableton. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna put in a bass line underneath. We'll blend it with a little bit of synths from Kontakt as well. Let's go like this during the verse, and let's take that little note there during the verse, and let's modulate that expression to kind of start halfway down like here, and then let's just move it all the way up here. And then let's go into cycles, which is like top 5 libraries for me. On some of these libraries, you'll notice there's like a red half to the piano. The top half of the piano is gonna play the loop, and the bottom half is gonna set the root key. So you'll notice that these pitch differently. So a lot of times you just want to stick to the root note because they play notes that aren't necessarily F, right? Like some of these are chords or percussive things that are kind of tuned. So it's nice to kind of use this. Yeah, like that, for example, it's not just an F, that's a bunch of notes, and it's a wild one at that. Cycles is like a granular engine that just chops up samples. You can enter your own. And what I'll do quite often is I'll just play my piano chords and I'll just kind of flip through. So this bottom note in F, you can also go an octave down, which we can start lower. I got a lot of low things going on, so maybe I should go a little higher this time. Let's try an octave down. Cool. We'll put some reverb on it, some delay on it. And that adds a huge vibe. This would kind of be like the base of where I would start, like trying to go for like the emotive side of a record. And then I would start to incorporate drum work, synths, heavier bass sounds, and all that stuff. This is just kind of like my textural side. And Kontakt is exactly what I lean on.
Slowly melting into your world, some kind of animal.
And now the chords can come in.
Pushing and pulling, don't understand it. How you got me all in. You can control me now. I'm so lost in all of your.
Amazing. So where I would go from here, one, I'd probably resample this whole thing without the piano, just the textural bit. I'm gonna use this rolling sampler.
Pushing and pulling, don't understand it. How you got me all in. You can control me now.
Okay, so we're gonna drag the sample in cycles. You can move this thing around here. We're just gonna catch a texture. That sounds sick right there. Make sure the random's off unless you want that movement. And we're just gonna freeze that. We're gonna record that like that, put it through a reverb and freeze that. What I like to do with some of my breakdowns while we wait for this thing to freeze is I like to have the chords implied before the hook. And that's beautiful, that sounds awesome. So we're gonna record that. We're gonna open it up, resample, hit record. And now you got this beautiful little thing in the background that adds some tension and some space. I added a little simple bass line with like a stock Ableton sub bass. Let's just play it through. It's gonna be a little messy. I think like some automations would probably go a long way, but let's see what it sounds like now.
Slowly melting into your world.
That's such a good tone.
Sinking down, caught like some kind of animal.
Yeah, once I add some little drums, it's gonna be beautiful.
Now I'm pushing and pulling, don't understand it. How you got me all in. You can control me now. I'm so lost in all of your.
I hope you got something out of this. This is how I use Kontakt personally to make my records, and I hope that you can take it to your art and make something crazy. See you guys.